going to start by mentioning our standard again because I want to draw your attention to some of the language that we may not have really talked about that much so far. And that is where we get down to here where we're talking about elaboration and organizational structure with transitions. And it's during our body paragraph writing that this type of skill is going to come out. This is how you're going to demonstrate that you know how to do that. So make sure that you have your transitional statement, transitional words and phrases chart out, your green packet. We are going to be using that today as we write our essay, our body paragraphs for our essay. And I know some of you are still kind of learning how to do this, to set up with the split screen. This is the best that I know so far how to simulate the actual writing test. And if I can learn a better way of doing that for you, I will definitely share that with you and do that for you. When you're actually taking the test, your text set and instructions are going to be on the left-hand side, and where you're going to type your essay is going to be on the right-hand side. That way you can look at the text set when you're working. Now, everybody listen, this is really important. I know that most of you know how to cut and paste, but if you remember that this test is going to be scored by artificial intelligence, if you copy and paste something into your essay, the computer is going to think that you copied, that you plagiarized, and it's going to cut your score down or possibly even give you a 0. So having the text on this side, as you're making up as you're working on your body paragraph, you can type in what you're seeing here. All right? Not only for the artificial intelligence scoring, but also too, somebody did not hear me this morning and they did it and it really messed up their formatting. So, and they limit the amount of space that you have, so you want to make sure that you're using it wisely. Okay, so what I put here is a sample body paragraph. Remember, when we're looking at a mentor text, when we're looking at a sample, it is giving us an idea of what it should look like. Obviously, this is about volcanoes, and you're writing about the American Civil War. So you're not going to be copying this, but what we're going to do is we're going to use it as a model. All right, so what I need you to do is I need you to click your cursor right after the period of your introduction. So make your cursor be in the period right after your introduction. You're going to hit the Enter key, and that's going to put it down to the next line. And then you're going to use your Tab key to indent. Everybody got that? All right. I did read everybody's introduction over the weekend, and I did send you feedback and returned the document to you. We are not going to revise our introductions today. Everybody's writing a body paragraph today, at least one. Possibly more. Okay, we are going to be writing today, tomorrow, and Wednesday. We're going to be revising and editing on Thursday, and we're turning our essay in on Friday. I will score them over the weekend and give you a grade in the grade book. The score is going to be determined from your checklist. So if you're using your checklist as you're writing, and you're making sure that you actually did each of the items on the checklist, then you will score well. This goes into your grade in the language. So it's weighted like a quizzes. It's weighted at 35% of your grade. But it's also averaged in with all of the quizzes and the spelling tests. So it shouldn't change your grade much more than 3 percentage points unless you get a 0. And then it could affect it even more. But for the most part, it's not going to drop you down a whole letter grade on your grade book. Okay, so let's take a look at our sample paragraph. You've already hit the enter and the tab, so you've indented your paragraph. And if you look at your checklist, you see that the very first thing you do in your, thank you, Miss Ellie, thank you. You'll see that after you indent, it says transitional phrase plus main idea sentence. So go ahead and turn to your transitional phrases chart. Go ahead and turn to your transitional phrases chart. And if you look in the boxes up at the top, you'll notice it says to begin each of your body paragraphs. So since we're doing our first body paragraph, you're going to look at this box right here, and you're going to choose one of these transitional phrases. It doesn't matter which one you're going to choose, and then type it into your essay. Type it into your assignment. May I help you? Okay, I'm not going to be able to show you right now, so if you could come over here and sit next to Sadie, you can look onto her screen to see what we're doing. I'm going to ask you to walk this way. You can look at her screen and just follow along with her when we're done, and we go to independent work, then I'll help you do that. Okay, so on our mentor, we notice here is our transitional phrase, comma, and now I want you to look at your plan. And I want you to look in the box. Remember your plan you put in your binder. Look at the box for the main idea that you want to talk about first. And you're going to type that sentence right after the transitional phrase, comma, and then the sentence. Now notice, guys, on your plan, your sentence has a capital letter, but unless that is a proper noun, it is no longer the beginning of the sentence. It should be lowercase. All right, so far what we've done is we've indented our paragraph. We've chosen a transitional phrase and typed it in, comma, and now we're going to type in our first main idea sentence. Go ahead and do that. Double check, make sure that you end that sentence with a period. Read it and make sure it makes sense, that it's a complete sentence. Remember the two things that we need to have in a sentence. Well, I don't know. I can tell you that when I opened up your assignment, there was no introduction there. I just figured you hadn't been able to do it. We're all writing a body paragraph today. You'll have to write your introduction or rewrite it. You'll have to either write it or rewrite it on another day to catch up. But everybody's writing a body paragraph right now. The beauty of doing it on the computer is you can go back and you can add that. Okay, so once we have our indent, transitional phrase, first main idea sentence, now it's time to look at your bullets. Now it's time to look and see what is the first piece of text that you are going to cite to support this main idea. So underneath your box on your planning sheet, you should have a paragraph symbol and a number. And because you have this on a split screen, you can move to the paragraph that you wrote for your first bullet. And we're going to go ahead and introduce our first piece of evidence. Go ahead and turn to your citing evidence chart. It's in your green packet. I have uploaded this to Teams on the writing channel. If for any reason you want to review it at home, if you're homesick but you feel like working, all of these things are available for you to look at home as well as at school. All right, let me put this underneath the document camera so that we can talk about it for a minute. One of the most common pieces of the structure of an essay that gets missed when I'm going to do the checklist and I'm going to grade you, give you a score, I can't check off evidence if it's not cited. Okay, and remember we learned that citing evidence is telling the reader where it came from. On your chart, you have kind of a sample piece of text, but underneath it, you have different strategies for citing your evidence, sentence frames to help you to cite your evidence, and then examples of what this would look like. Okay, remember, always use your charts, because if you use them every time you're writing, when you actually get to the test, you'll remember what is on there. All right, so let's just look at the very beginning, the very first one. It says to cite your evidence at the beginning of the sentence. And we have examples here, these sentence frames. So in paragraph, and it would be the number of the paragraph, the author states, and you would finish that sentence. That would be citing your evidence before you introduce it. So you can give the paragraph number, you can give it as source 1, you can say source 1, and the title, you can just say the title. There are lots of ways that you can cite your evidence. Use what feels the most comfortable to you. Just don't keep using the same one all the time, because then it becomes repetitive and they don't like that either. All right, so this chart is a chart that's available to you, and you should use it every time you are writing. So when I'm watching you writing during independent time, I should see your green packet out. I should see your plan out. All right? I shouldn't see you looking up at the ceiling trying to remember what was on your plan. You have a plan, use it. Okay, so let's go back to our sample. And let's look at the sample here. So right after we have indented transitional phrase, main idea sentence, this author is going to introduce the first piece of evidence. Source one, and then they use the title of the article. Titles of articles are in quotation marks. Source one, disaster creeps in, tells about a boy named Treston. His school was directly, and then here's the quote, in the path of fiery hot lava. Unquote. So those words, the words that are in the quotation marks, came directly from that source. Now, the main idea for here was that volcanoes can disrupt the daily routines that you have. And it's talking about how his school was near the lava flow. The school was closed and the students were sent to different schools. Treston was not happy with the situation. He said, I miss my friends. So since all of this comes from source one, we don't have to cite it again. All right? And then we get to the elaboration. Remember, elaboration is when you are saying more about it. You're helping your reader understand how this quote, this evidence supports your main idea. So you would say, it says, having to attend a different school and being separated from friends interferes with daily activities, which is what we're talking about, the routines of daily life. That's the elaboration. Then, the author of this is going to use a second piece of evidence. It still comes from source one. If you're doing paragraph numbers, you might have a different paragraph. Source one also states that an erupting volcano might force residents to evacuate. And now we're going to go into the elaboration. That means they would have to pack their belongings and leave their homes with only a few hours of warning. In addition, roads and stores may have to be closed if lava gets too close. Leaving your home, taking a different route to work or school, and searching for stores that have what you need are ways that volcanoes affect people's lives. Okay, so remember, we use a mentor paragraph to show us how a body paragraph should flow. What did we notice? We noticed indent, transitional phrase, main idea sentence, cited text evidence. It might be a quote. It might be a summary. You might paraphrase the information. But tell us where you got it. Then elaborate. Say more about it. Say something different about it. Okay, don't say, this means that his school was in the path of fiery hot lava, because you just repeated your quote. But if your school is in the path of fiery hot lava, it is not safe to go to school there. So we have main idea sentence, evidence number one, elaboration. Evidence number two, elaboration. Evidence number three, elaboration. And then we have our connecting sentence. That's probably going to end up being a whole different lesson for your writing, how to end it. Some of you have already had a conversation about this in conferencing, but your final sentence, that's the one on your checklist that says to restate the main idea and connect it to the thesis. Remember, the thesis in this case, I think, was that you were supposed to explain how volcanoes affect people's lives. And I think the thesis for this one, the student wrote, volcanoes affect people's lives in many ways. And this body paragraph was about your routines, your daily routine, your daily schedule can be disrupted. And so if we look at this sentence, leaving your home, taking a different route to work or school, and searching for stores that have what you need are ways that volcanoes affect people's lives. Okay, we might have to have another lesson on that closing sentence. All right, so today during independent time, you're going to write your first body paragraph and then your second body paragraph. All right, so just keep on going. Make sure you do all of the things on your checklist. I'm going to keep this sample body paragraph up here so that you can use it and look at it to see what it's supposed to look like. Plus, you need to remember to use your green packet. Remember, your charts are there to help you. So if you get stuck, remember the lesson we had. If you get stuck, what do? Who remembers? What do you do if you get stuck? Axel?
Look at your plan.
Okay, you can look at your plan. Brady?
Look at your green packet.
Look at your green packet and the charts. All right? Should you sit there doing nothing? No. Use your tools and do something. Any questions about our independent time? Question? No? Okay. Anybody? All right, go ahead and get started writing your body paragraphs.